Albany School of Humanities. We were in this very room a few years ago, and we talked about our Back to Basics initiative to remove ourselves from 20 years of teaching literacy the wrong way. And we announced here that we are setting the state on the right path, and I'm proud to know that that has been happening. I want to say that Albany embraced the right way to do it years before everybody else, so kudos to Albany. To all those who are here today, I want to thank, first of all, our school superintendent, Joseph Hochul. We've been together many, many times, many occasions, and your innovative leadership and approach to education has been a reason I come back so often to celebrate what Albany does. Very proud of what you do here. And of course, it's great to have a principal here. I saw a lot of them when I was growing up, sometimes in their offices, but that's another story. Marie Coulihan, our principal for the School of Humanities. And always good to see our mayor, who's hit the ground running, Mayor Dorsey Appleers, the City of Albany, and my colleagues in state government, our great Senator Pat Fahey. She sees me at many, many events because we're local here, and same with Assembly Member Gabriela Romero. And I have two special guests here who are very involved in the initiative I'm talking about here today, and that is Senator Michelle Hinchy and Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. So what I want to talk about is the fact that we're very focused on the best outcomes for our school children. And part of that was making sure they're taught the right way in their curriculum. We've dealt with that issue. The other part was the cell phone ban. And as I talk to the young people all around the state, I am actually shocked how many come up to me unsolicited and say that they didn't like it at first and they were mad at me at the beginning. But now they're saying, like, I'm making real friends in person, and we're playing games, we're playing cards, we're playing bingo, we're playing all kinds of things together, playing chess during lunch in study hall, and actually creating friendships and human interactions that were non-existent for 10 years of students being absorbed only in the palm of their hand as they looked at their cell phones. So I am so proud of what we've done there, and I know that the teachers are grateful that they have a class where they're actually paying attention to the teacher instead of TikTok dance videos. We're going to continue our focus on young people. But no matter how we teach, no matter how thoughtful we've been about smartphones, as a mom, I know this. Kids just can't learn on an empty stomach. It is a distraction. Think about adults. You get the hangries late in the afternoon if you don't get that Snickers candy bar or whatever you eat. But think about our kids who don't have access. They can't walk into a kitchen and get something to eat when they're hungry. And I've believed for a long time that this creates anxiety, and children who are food insecure at home, they tend to have lower standardized scores. And so it's a burden they carry for their entire lives, and they're more likely to drop out of school and make less money. And in the wealthiest nation in the world, there should be no excuses, no reason why any child should not be able to have a full stomach all the way through the entire school day. And that's why I made a promise last year that every child, every school, would have food from breakfast to lunch and not have to worry about the cost for their families. So we fought, we got this done. I worked with our legislators, you'll be hearing from in a few minutes. But we launched our Universal School Meals Program in September. And I am so proud to say that just since September, we've served more than 275 million free meals. I just had breakfast with some really smart kids, some 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds and some 4th graders, and they're all telling me how exciting it was. I even had a chance to open up a little syrup for one of the children, maybe feel like I was useful again as a mom. And they're all so adorable, but I knew that as they left there after having their carrots and their bananas and their French toast, that they would not have a hungry stomach during the day, and they'd come back again and have lunch later. So that just made me feel as a mom and as a governor just so much better that I know this is going on in schools all over the state, that we've taken away that factor that kids who come from families where the food is expensive or they're food insecure, they don't have to deal with that stress. And so now they can focus on learning and making friends, and it's beneficial for the parents. I mean, you think about the savings. This is what I was touting as part of our affordability agenda last year. The saving is about $165 per month per child over $1,600 per year per child. So that's money back in their pockets. I mean, that could be a mortgage payment, that could be help toward child care costs or car payments or utility bills. And coincidentally, that $1,600 is almost the same amount of money that families had to pay more this year because of the Trump tariff taxes. About $1,700 we're estimating from that. So just so you know, as an aside, I've demanded the money be returned to the people of New York, $13.5 billion at $1,700 per household. So let's try to get this back. But back to school lunches. On top of the savings from the school lunches, our affordability agenda continues. When people are paying their taxes, they now know that middle-class tax rates are the lowest they've been in 70 years. This is the first year that parents will benefit from the child tax credit, which when I first became governor was $0 for children under the age of 4. Now it is $1,000, and so that is dramatic progress, tripling the child tax credit, and also the inflation rebate checks that have been out. And so we've been focused on putting money back in people's pockets in countless ways, which is why we're focusing on other issues such as car insurance and other areas where people are just paying way too much. So I want to put that back in people's pockets and let people know that we're giving people not just money back in their pockets, but as I heard when one dad came up to me on the street when I was walking, he says, "Governor, you gave me back an hour of my day." I said, "What are you talking about? How to give you back an hour in your day?" He says, "I used to have to be the ones who had to get the kids up early. I made their breakfast, then I had to pack the school lunches and run out and get the groceries to buy the school lunch." He goes, "Thank you for giving me the gift of time." So that is priceless as well. So in New York, we're going to continue fighting because your family is my fight. I'm going to do whatever I can to protect all the little kids throughout the state, and it starts with making sure that they start the school day with a full stomach, ready and eager to learn. So thank you to everybody who's been involved in this effort. Again, congratulations. And also someone who's been a strong supporter from the very beginning, our two legislators, Senator Michelle Hinchy, as well as Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas, who were an important part of the conversations to make sure this became a reality. So let's hear from Senator Hinchy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Governor Hochul, thank you for your leadership on this issue and for really driving forward the support and the efforts for all of our families across the state. We can feel it. We can feel the difference and really appreciate your work. And of course, my partner in crime in the legislature on this issue, Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas, and all of our colleagues. There is arguably nothing more important than supporting the next generation and supporting our kids. And none of that matters unless we can get them food. Food is a building block. It is the foundation of being able to achieve your best self, being able to achieve your aspirations, being able to focus, build social relationships. And in so many communities, that wasn't afforded to many of our children. And on top of the affordability measures and the importance of learning, as the governor spoke so well, it was also a stigma issue. Kids who didn't have access to food or came in early for the breakfast and lunch program maybe were teased by other students who didn't have access to that, and they didn't know what the difference was. This now levels the playing field for all of our students so that kids can just be kids. They can be equal. It doesn't matter your background or where you come from. Everyone is showing up to school eating the same food and learning the same things and working together, and that's what creates the society that we all want to live in. So thank you so much for your championship of this issue. Thank you to everybody here, and of course our school districts and our representatives, the parents, the students. This is a really big deal. One of the things I'm most proud of in the legislature being able to accomplish, and it's a privilege to be here for this incredible milestone with this number of meals. So thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you.
I will now have the privilege of introducing the Assembly sponsor of this bill, Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our first mom governor, because as a mom, I viscerally know how critical this is. And again, my partner in the Senate has been a tremendous champion, understanding that this actually not just helps our families and our children, but also the farmers that grow our food. So it's really critical. I think this work has one underlying truth, that you cannot teach a hungry child. And as a mom, we understand, and family members, we understand how food is essential to the well-being and the educational outcomes of our children. So 275 million meals, those are mouths fed, those are stomachs and bellies full. That leads to better academic outcome, better behavior, reduced stigma, and money back in the pockets of our families. This is an amazing accomplishment. I too feel deeply proud of this, one of my most proud accomplishments in the Assembly, and I'm really grateful to stand alongside parents and school administrators and superintendents. This has changed the game, alongside the cell phone ban. I am a mom of a 14-year-old that was not a fan originally, but to see the way that they've continued to engage and improved without distraction has been incredible. So between food and distraction-free schools, it's been a game changer. So we're seeing the fruits of that. That began in September, and I'm so grateful for this partnership, and I'm so thrilled to continue to fight for all our families across New York. Thank you, Governor, so much, and thank you for all our partners here. Thank you.
So you mentioned farmers. Is it when possible locally sourced food?
We have all kinds of programs. If you want to address this too, and both of you have been involved in this, but we also have Nourish New York, which is a directive to make sure that that we're actually paying farmers for additional food to give to food banks, but we have,
We also have the Farm to School program, which is a program that's been around a long time that actually helps reimburse school districts for food that they're getting from local farmers. There are some changes we want to make to that program to add breakfast and snacks to it to make sure that it's robust and that it actually works for our school districts to be able to do. So that's a conversation that we're having, but we want to expand as many markets for our farmers as we can, and we should be starting with our school institutions. Something the governor actually led the way on too is setting purchasing thresholds for all of our state agencies or any of our state organizations that buy food to set purchasing thresholds from New York farms. We want the same thing in our schools, and so that Farm to School program is meant to do that, and hopefully we can make some changes to it this year to be able to have that be a reality, even more than it is today, but it is a big part of it.
Right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I guess the only question I would ask is that, and I have to apologize if this has been updated, but I know some of the Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes has introduced what they call the Good Food Bill at times. That had been vetoed in the past. Do you know what the current status of that bill is right now, or is that something?
I don't know if it's been reintroduced this year.
It has.
Yeah.
It has, and we made some, based on the veto message from the governor, we've made some changes. So we're hoping, we've been working with the Farm Bureau and others, so we'll be,
a chance now, it sounds like you weren't sure if it was reintroduced, but is that something that you were open to considering if it was changed?
I'm always looking to work with the legislature to, address concerns that we have with the bills. Sure. We'll look at it. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Governor.
First of all, happy birthday to Nick Reisman. Everybody all your colleagues want to sing? No, go ahead. Start, you can all, do you? Happy birthday. You guys got to sharpen up a little bit for the LCA show if you're going to do any singing there, so I'll let you go. And welcome back to, Elliot's father is back. Yeah, congratulations on that. Where did I see you? In a weird place with Elliot.
Museum. We're in an elevator.
Yeah, we were in an elevator together with little Ellie. Yeah, we had the baby. So random encounters, but welcome back. All right.
Yes, thank you. Governor, thank you for that. With the ongoing airstrikes in Iran, a number of Americans have been essentially trapped overseas in the Middle East. Obviously, this is ultimately a federal purview, but have you been in any discussions or conversations with New Yorkers who are stuck there? And is there anything that the state can do to help them?
No, absolutely. We are in constant communication with the State Department. Majority Leader or Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is taking lead on this as well, trying to identify those who are trying to get home. And, it's about time that the federal government actually take the steps that should have probably a number of days overdue, which is to charter flights and to find ways to get people home. Instead of just saying hunker down in place, they need to get home. And so there's been a shift in their policy finally, and we're glad to see that they're creating mechanisms for people to get back out of the Middle East, which is becoming increasingly dangerous by the hour. And we're also keeping in our prayers all the New York members of the armed services who are in harm's way right now as well, having lost a number from other states, but this hits close to home to our military families.
Is there any indication of how many New Yorkers are trying to get back?
No, I'm trying to get that number as well. I just had a conversation. I've been getting briefings every few hours on this from my intelligence team and my cyber team and my police who are constantly engaged in this. We're trying to get a number of how many people are trying to come back, and as soon as we know, we'll let you know.
Governor, with all the talk about the climate law, you've spoken about the need for an all of the above approach. Does that extend to fracking? Do you think the state should reconsider the ban on high-volume hydraulic fracturing?
No. My view is that we have. I'm also, my number one priority is to protect the people of this state, and I have had concerns about fracking. I know there's a lot of interest in it from some circles, but I believe that we have plentiful supply if we can unleash what I want to do. If we can have Donald Trump keep his hands off of our offshore wind and our solar initiatives, because they were part of a strategy. They made up a significant amount of the energy we've been counting on with our planning. If we can continue to have support to build the nuclear, which is a longer-term answer, but is a strategy that I believe will work. We also are focused on, thermal and other sources of energy. I'm trying to do all the above with the limitations that we have, but I think we can get there if they stop handcuffing the projects that we already planned on. We're counting on 500,000 homes being powered in Brooklyn this fall with offshore wind. Thank you, Donald Trump. You shut that down. I've had to go to court to get it back on, and now we're delayed. So if they would get out of our way, and we can continue our approach, we'll be in a much better place. But it's hard to do that with the constraints they're putting on us.
Another topic, the teachers union has made rolling back the Tier 6 pension tier a priority this year, particularly as it comes to the retirement age. Is that something that feasibly the state could handle? Is that something that you're open to?
These are conversations we have to have with all the school districts that are affected by this as well. But I'll tell you, they're ongoing. There are a lot of different unions have Tier 6 desires this year. And we've asked them to come together and have a serious conversation about what's doable, what's affordable, what makes sense at this time. So those are still ongoing.
Governor, have you spoken to the president directly about Iran since the weekend, number one, and number two?
No, I'm not. No.
Do you still think it's possible for the legislature you and the legislature to reach a deal on immigration outside of the rest of the budget deal when that comes? And where
On the immigration initiatives, yes. I'm anxious to get it done. More time has passed than I would like. I believe that what we put forth is a very significant starting point to show that we believe that ICE is out of control, that they need to have guardrails. We want to have them banned from going to sensitive locations, like they should not be able to barge into a college student's dorm without having a court order, which is required under the Fourth Amendment. So we wanted to make those changes. We also want to say that I want local police focused on fighting local crimes. We allocated $3 billion in money out to all kinds of local law enforcement agencies, covering overtime and support for them and new technologies. And I don't want New York State taxpayer dollars that are supposed to be there to protect their own communities being diverted to help an agency, which last I count, I think has about $85 billion, an insane amount of money, given, what they're supposed to be doing. And so I question that. I want to make sure that our police are doing their jobs. And also when someone's constitutional rights have been trampled on, or someone in Buffalo is left out in the cold without shoes on, a blind man whose family I just sat down with a couple of days ago, and had a sobbing widow in my arms, and a distraught son and a little 11-year-old boy who don't know what their future brings. I think there should be a private right of action to go after, the federal government when their operatives are out of control. And shame on Kristi Noem for not saying that herself. She should have fired the individuals involved. And if not, then she should have consequences. This can't go on the way it is. So I want the legislature to work with me sooner than later. The clock is ticking. I have plans I think make a lot of sense and actually could help in situations that are unfolding literally by the day in this state.
Governor, so federal prosecutors are reportedly preparing a lawsuit alleging bid rigging between the state and Public Partnerships LLC. And emails released by Empire Center yesterday showed that state officials were in contact with the company from the get-go before the changes were made in that year's budget, which contradicts what state officials said at a hearing last year.
I think that was all clarified, though. I think the statements that were made were clarified after the hearing, so you want to go back to the corrected record on that. No, I'm not aware of what they're bringing lawsuits. I don't know what they're doing. This is the federal government. They go after Tish James. They go after, congestion pricing. They go after offshore wind. I mean, this is just another list of areas where they're just trying to use their power to go after blue states only, blue states. So, but when there's any area where there's fraud involved, there's, with the Medicaid programs and other areas like that, we're on board and we're actually part of the prosecution of fraudulent cases. We support making sure that taxpayer dollars are spent properly, but I think you can go back to what the source of what they're trying to attack us on, a program that is now saving billions of dollars for New York taxpayers, and they've been riddled with fraud itself. So I'm going to be attacked for trying to stop a program that was, not serving its original purpose in many ways, defrauding taxpayers. I'm trying to get that right, so now they're alleging I've done something wrong. So just check the source. Just check the source.
How do you feel like that will impact CMS's decision to both this potential lawsuit and also now this new probe into the state's Medicaid spending? Do you feel like that will impact CMS rejecting or approving?
No, I don't think there should not be a connection between any of this. And again, if they're going to have, looking at Democratic-only states and questioning what we do for their own political reasons, I will have to stand up and show them the truth and show them the facts, that they're wrong. When there is fraud, I will help them fight it. I already have. We're already on the front lines of doing that. Hence, we radically changed the CDPAP program. So that should have no bearing on our request for them in other areas that are before them at this time. So.
There's less funding or no increase in funding for Save the Michaels. This was an organization in Buffalo. Abby Israel, who lost his son to addiction.
I know Abby very well. Let me check into that. I don't have all the details, and I just saw that reported on. Okay, thanks. I'm focused on my affordability agenda, which we spoke about here today, and that's what New York is one of the